Sandra never planned to fall in love. She was the type of girl who focused on her studies, minded her business, and stayed away from distractions. But then she met Daniel. It was their second year at the University of Ibadan. Sandra was an accounting student, smart, reserved, and always in the front row of the lecture hall. Daniel, on the other hand, was the campus charmer. He was studying engineering and had a smile that could melt hearts. Girls adored him, but somehow, out of everyone, he chose Sandra. Their love story started simply. It was small conversations after lectures, random texts at night, and innocent laughter. Sandra never expected it to grow into something serious, but one evening changed everything. It was raining heavily. Sandra was stranded outside the library with no umbrella. Daniel, passing by, noticed her shivering. Without a word, he removed his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Let me walk you to your hostel," he said. Sandra hesitated. She wasn't used to accepting help, but something about Daniel felt safe. That night, under the rain, with his arm gently guiding her, Sandra felt something she had never felt before, warmth. And from that moment, she was his. Daniel was everything Sandra wanted in a man, caring, funny, protective, and full of dreams. He told her about his big plans to become a successful engineer, to travel abroad, to make a name for himself. Sandra believed in him. But there was one problem. Daniel was struggling financially. His family could barely afford his tuition, and most times he had to hustle to survive. Sandra, on the other hand, came from a comfortable home. She never lacked anything. At first, she didn't think too much about it, but slowly she started helping out. "Daniel, don't worry. I'll pay for the food today," she would say. "Your phone is faulty? Let me send you some money for repairs. You need new shoes? I'll get them for you." Before she knew it, she was doing everything for him. She wasn't just his girlfriend, she was his provider, his support system. And Daniel, he always reassured her. "Babe, I promise you, when I make it, I will take care of you. You won't regret this." Sandra smiled, believing every word. She had no idea she was walking into a trap. Their love was sweet, but it wasn't perfect. One evening, Sandra sat in her room staring at the pregnancy test in her hand. The two red lines stared back at her like a cruel joke. She was pregnant. Fear gripped her heart. How was she going to tell Daniel? When she finally gathered the courage to tell him, his reaction shattered her. "Sandra, we can't keep this baby. We're still in school. I don't even have money to take care of myself. Talk less of a child," Daniel said, pacing the room. "But Daniel, this is our baby. Babe, please, let's be reasonable. I promise, when the time is right, we will have our family. But not now," he begged. Tears rolled down Sandra's cheeks. She had always imagined having kids with Daniel, but not like this. And so, out of love, she agreed. The abortion was painful, both physically and emotionally. But Daniel was there, holding her hand, whispering, "I'm so sorry. I love you." Sandra believed him. She didn't know it was just the beginning. Months passed, and Sandra tried to move on. She convinced herself that it was just a mistake, that Daniel truly loved her. But then it happened again, and again. The second pregnancy, the same story. The third one almost killed her. She was rushed to the hospital, bleeding heavily. The doctor looked at her with pity. "You've had too many abortions in a short time. If this continues, you might never be able to have children," he warned. Sandra's heart sank. She had given everything to Daniel, her love, her body, her money, and now she might never have kids. She expected Daniel to feel guilty, to change, but all he did was hold her hand and whisper the same empty promises. "Babe, I swear I will marry you. Just be patient with me." Sandra forced a smile. She still believed him. After graduation, Daniel got a scholarship to study in Canada. Sandra was overjoyed. We finally made it, she thought. She didn't even hesitate when Daniel told her he needed money for his flight. She sent him everything she had. This is for our future, she told herself. But once Daniel traveled, everything changed. At first, they talked every day. Then the calls became less frequent. Then they stopped completely. Sandra sent him messages. He would reply hours later with one-word answers. Then one evening, her phone beeped. It was a message from Daniel. She opened it, smiling, thinking it was another love message. But her smile disappeared as she read the words. Sandra, I don't think this is working. I've changed. I need to focus on my career. I hope you understand. Her hands trembled. 6 years of love, of sacrifice, of pain, gone. Just like that. Sandra spent months trying to heal. But just when she thought she had seen the worst, life hit her with another blow. One afternoon, her best friend, Anita, called. Sandra, I need to tell you something, Anita said nervously. Sandra listened, her heart pounding. Daniel and I have been talking for a while. He proposed to me. I wanted to let you know first. Sandra's world collapsed. She wanted to scream, to cry, to curse, but instead she smiled. It's okay. If you love him, go ahead, she said calmly. Anita sighed in relief. She had no idea she had just made the worst mistake of her life. Sandra didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, remembering everything, the money, the sacrifices, the abortions, the heartbreak, and then something inside her snapped. The wedding day arrived. The hall was decorated beautifully. Guests were laughing. The couple was glowing. Sandra sat at the back, watching. When it was time for the wedding feast, she quietly made her way to the kitchen. Nobody suspected anything when she offered to help with the food. Nobody saw when she laced the fried rice with a deadly substance. 30 minutes after Daniel and Anita ate, they collapsed. The hall turned to chaos. Screams filled the air. Doctors rushed in. But it was too late. The newlyweds were gone. Sandra stood outside, watching as their lifeless bodies were carried away. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I gave you everything, Daniel, and you threw me away like trash, she whispered. A bitter smile crossed her lips. She wasn't done yet. The whole city was in shock. A wedding that was supposed to be filled with joy had turned into a nightmare. Nobody could believe it. The groom and bride, dead, just 30 minutes after eating their wedding meal. People whispered. Some said it was a spiritual attack. Others believed it was food poisoning. But Sandra, she just sat in her apartment, staring at her phone, waiting. And then it happened. Her phone buzzed. The news was everywhere. Breaking news. Newlywed couple dies mysteriously at wedding reception. She scrolled through the comments. God forbid, how can two people just die like that? The devil is a liar. This is pure evil. Who prepared the food? They must be arrested. Sandra chuckled. Arrest? No one would suspect her. She had planned everything too well, but she didn't know that someone had seen her. That night, as she lay on her bed, there was a knock on her door. Sandra's heart skipped. Slowly, she got up and walked to the door. Who is it? She asked. Silence. She took a deep breath and opened it slightly. Anita's younger sister, Blessing, stood there, eyes red from crying. Sandra forced a smile. Blessing, I'm so sorry about your sister. This is so painful. Save your fake pity. Blessing cut her off. I saw you. Sandra froze. I saw you adding something to the food. Sandra's blood went cold. Blessing, I don't know what you're talking about, she said, forcing a laugh. Blessing stepped closer. You killed my sister. and I'm going to prove it." Then she turned and walked away, leaving Sandra standing there, heart pounding. Sandra knew she had to act fast. If Blessing told anyone, everything would be over. The next morning, she took the first flight out of the city, disappearing before anyone could question her. But running wouldn't erase the truth, and soon the police were on her trail. Sandra arrived in Lagos, her hands shaking as she switched off her phone. She had never felt this kind of fear before. Blessing's words kept ringing in her ears. "You killed my sister, and I'm going to prove it." She knew she had to stay hidden. Checking into a small guest house under a fake name, she spent the first few days watching the news. Her face was not out yet, but she knew it was only a matter of time. Then, one evening, as she scrolled through her phone, she came across a post that made her body go numb. "The police have launched an investigation into the mysterious death of newlywed couple Daniel and Anita. Sources say a witness has come forward with shocking evidence." Sandra's vision blurred. Blessing had done it. Sandra knew she had to act fast. She couldn't just sit and wait to be caught. Quickly, she took out a small mirror from her bag and stared at her reflection. No more Sandra. She needed a new identity. By morning, she had changed everything: her hairstyle, her dressing, even her name. She got a cheap phone and created a new email. She was now Linda Johnson. With this new identity, she found a small job at a local restaurant. She told herself she would lay low, at least until things calmed down. But fate had other plans. One evening, as she served food to customers, she heard a voice that nearly made her drop the tray. "I swear I know that girl from somewhere." Her hands trembled as she turned slightly. It was a group of men talking. One of them was scrolling through his phone, showing something to his friends. Sandra's heartbeat quickened. Slowly, she walked past them, stealing a glance at the phone screen. Her face was there. It was an online news article. "Prime suspect in newlywed couple's death still missing." Sandra swallowed hard. She had to leave, now. Sandra rushed to her tiny room, grabbed her bag, and counted the little money she had saved. She needed to leave Lagos, but where would she go? As she packed, her phone rang. A private number. She hesitated, then picked up. "Hello?" A cold voice replied. "Sandra, did you really think you could run forever?" Her breath caught in her throat. She knew that voice. Blessing. Sandra's whole body went cold. She gripped the phone tightly. "How did you get this number?" she whispered. A dry chuckle came from the other end. "You think you're smart, Sandra? Changing your name, hiding like a rat. You didn't even do a good job." Sandra's hands trembled. "Blessing, please." "Please." Blessing's voice turned sharp. Was Anita begging when you killed her? Was she pleading when you poisoned her food? Sandra's throat went dry. "You will pay," Blessing hissed. "And I promise I will be the one to bring you down." The line went dead. Sandra stood frozen. She had to move. Now Sandra grabbed her bag and rushed out of the guest house, her mind racing. She needed a new plan. But as she stepped onto the street, she noticed something that made her heart nearly stop. Across the road, leaning against a parked car, was a man watching her. Dark glasses, black jacket, phone in hand. A detective? Her breath quickened. She turned and walked the other way, forcing herself to stay calm. Just act normal. She hadn't taken 5 steps when another man appeared ahead, casually standing near a shop, but his eyes were locked on her. Sandra's stomach twisted. They had found her. She didn't think. She ran. Shoving past people, she darted into a narrow street, ignoring the shouts behind her. Footsteps pounded after her. She turned left, then right, her lungs burning. But they were fast, too fast. Suddenly, strong hands grabbed her from behind. She screamed, kicking and fighting, but the grip was like iron. Got you, a voice growled. She twisted her head, and her heart stopped. It wasn't the police, it was Blessing, and her eyes were burning with revenge. Sandra's breath hitched as she struggled against Blessing's grip. Let me go, she screamed, twisting her body. Blessing yanked her harder, dragging her into a dark alley. You think you can run? Blessing's voice was low, dangerous. You took my sister's life and thought you'd walk free? Sandra's eyes darted around. No one was in sight. She was trapped. Blessing, please, she gasped, her voice shaking. It wasn't. A slap landed across her face. Sandra staggered, her cheek burning. Don't lie. Blessing's eyes burned with fury. I saw you with my own eyes. Sandra's chest rose and fell rapidly. I didn't mean to. I loved him. Blessing's hands balled into fists. You loved him? And that gave you the right to kill him? To kill my sister? Tears streamed down Sandra's face. You don't understand, she sobbed. I gave that man everything. My money, my body, my life. 3 abortions, Blessing. 3. And the last one almost destroyed my womb. Blessing's face twisted with rage. So you thought killing them would fix it? She spat. You thought taking my sister's life would bring back everything you lost? Sandra broke down, collapsing onto her knees. I was broken. I was hurt. Blessing's nostrils flared. And now it's your turn to feel pain. Sandra's head shot up, fear flashing in her eyes. What? What do you mean? Blessing pulled out her phone and held it up. A red light was blinking. Sandra's blood ran cold. You recorded? Every word, Blessing said, her voice steady. Sandra lunged forward, trying to snatch the phone, but Blessing stepped back. You're finished, Sandra, she said, and I swear I won't stop until you rot in prison. Sandra's mind raced. She couldn't let this happen, not after everything. Her eyes darted to a broken bottle near her feet. Her heart pounded. One move, just one move, and she could escape. Her fingers twitched. Then a voice rang out. Stop right there. Sandra turned sharply. A group of men stood at the alley entrance. Policemen. Sandra's world crumbled. That's her, Blessing pointed. She just confessed. Before Sandra could react, the officers rushed forward. Strong hands grabbed her arms, yanking her up. No, no, please, she shrieked, kicking and fighting. I didn't mean to. I was hurt. Shut up, one of the officers barked, snapping handcuffs around her wrists. Sandra turned to Blessing, her face soaked with tears. Please, please forgive me. Blessing's lips curled. My sister begged for her life too, she whispered. Sandra let out a broken sob as she was dragged away. For the first time in her life, she realized she had lost everything. The courtroom was silent. Sandra sat in the defendant's box, her hands trembling as the judge read the verdict. Sandra Okafor, for the murder of Daniel and Anita, this court finds you guilty. A sharp cry escaped Sandra's lips. The courtroom erupted. Some people clapped, others wept. Blessing sat in the front row, staring at Sandra with cold eyes. She had done it. Justice had been served. Sandra collapsed onto the bench, her whole body shaking. She had lost her love, her freedom, her life. As the guards pulled her up, she turned one last time, locking eyes with Blessing. I'm sorry, she whispered, but it was too late. As she was led away, her cries echoed through the courtroom. It was over. Sandra sat in her prison cell, staring blankly at the cold walls. Her orange uniform felt heavy on her skin. Life imprisonment. The judge's words replayed in her head over and over again. No freedom, no second chance. This was her reality now. She had thought she was fighting for love, but in the end, She had destroyed herself. Outside, life moved on. Blessing finally found peace. But for Sandra, every single day was the same. A slow, endless reminder of everything she had lost.